Hey everyone, I am Jim Gast with No Law Firm Left Behind. Thanks for joining me today. Got a real quick topic. We're not going to be, a real long time today, but it's really important to kind of get this question off the table. I've been getting it quite a bit from people, and the question is, what good with all this other security stuff is my antivirus, right? And so we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to talk about what the need of antivirus is, what it's supposed to do, what it's not doing, and then what you should do about it. Okay. And so, as always, I really appreciate you joining. Again, Jim Guest with No Law Firm Left Behind. My company, Splicing Consulting. We do this all the time, right? So let's get right into it and kind of talk about antivirus. In the old days, we used to think of antivirus as stuff we used to put on our computers to stop viruses, right? Trojan horses and things like that, right? And so we would get a virus on our computer or pop-ups for that matter, malware, things like that. And you know what? Those things are still prevalent today. They're just in a different form or fashion than they used to be. Now, what's happening is that a virus that you might get from your computer network on your computer through a website or through an attachment or a link might not be the type of virus that your antivirus can pick up on. And so, what your antivirus is doing is protecting you from known threats if you've got more recent antivirus. And if it's being updated, it's still protecting you from a number of threats. But what it's not doing is what we like to consider like behavioral monitoring or correlation data, where another system might be looking at three or four different or a dozen different systems in your environment and correlating the behaviors of and actions in those softwares and what they're doing, and then saying, hey, there's something going on your network. Antivirus is predominantly supposed to protect just that endpoint, just that computer, just that Mac, just that server, right? That's what antivirus does. And I would say that if you have it, that's a good thing. If you haven't updated in a long time, that's a bad thing. If you haven't gotten a newer version, if you will, some people call it next gen. If you haven't gotten that, then you may want to look at it and reconsider your antivirus, because for a lot of people, especially at home on home computers, it's the only line of defense that you have, especially if you've just got an internet modem. You don't really have a firewall at home, right? And maybe you update your computer, maybe you don't update your computer. Your antivirus is maybe the only line of defense that you've got. Now, in a business environment, hopefully you have other lines of defenses. You have an enterprise grade firewall that does intrusion protection and detection, right? Hopefully you've got web filtering. Hopefully you've got all these other things along with your antivirus. But even if you just got antivirus, it's not enough. It's just not enough anymore. And so let's talk about what the newer next gen intelligent antiviruses do. And so our company here is SpliceNet, right? What we do is we have antivirus on all of our customers. And I got asked today on an email campaign that I sent out, you've got our cybersecurity, you're protecting us, you're monitoring us, right? And I said, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about that monitoring. And I said, what your business is like to us is like a car, okay? And all your technology and your systems are like a car. I said, with the softwares that we've got in place at your company, that we look at and we provide, think of it like this. You've got a check engine light and you've got, you got a check oil light or change oil light and you've got oil, right? I said, we're changing the oil. We're monitoring the change oil light if it comes on or off, okay? And when it comes on, we're changing the oil. And if there's a problem with the oil, we're trying to make sure that that's right. Antivirus that a lot of customers have is kind of like that. If it updates, great. It just kind of keeps going and doing its job. But when it doesn't update, or we try to update it, right? We make it update. That's our job. That's what we're doing. If it's saying, hey, we stopped a virus, we stopped a virus, we stopped a virus, great. Pat that antivirus on the back, but that's not really what we care about. We care about stuff that's not stopping. And unfortunately, the stuff that it's not stopping is stuff that it doesn't realize that it's not stopping. So it can't tell you that it's stopping it, that it's not stopping it. And so You have to look to other systems for information and correlate that to other behaviors in other systems. So many of your MSPs are just making sure you've got antivirus. And if it was disabled, re-enabling it. If it's not patching, updating, making sure it's patching and updating, right? That's what most of your managed service providers like my company does, is just that's the monitoring. Let's take that to the next level. Newer antivirus has a guy, generally speaking, has intelligence, artificial intelligence built into it. Maybe not into the client that's monitoring the computer, but out on the cloud somewhere in what's called a SOC, Security Operations Center, manned by both artificial intelligence systems and people 24/7. So that if something happens with that software, right, something unusual happens, something that normal antivirus would not stop, some behavior, 500 files got changed, right, and nobody knew about it, right? Antivirus doesn't monitor for that. So what you're looking at is an antivirus that does what a normal antivirus does, but also next gen behavioral monitoring and artificial intelligence correlation. So what we're recommending is you get something like that. There's a whole bunch of systems out there. The one we work with in particular, we put it on a system, and it can replace an antivirus. It's a kind of a next gen antivirus. Does it hurt to have the other one on there? Maybe not. Depends on what it is. We'd like to have one antivirus on a system, but it is connected through the cloud, and that endpoint can be locked down by the antivirus, by that software, if you will. Okay, I hate to call it antivirus, by that next gen antivirus. And so generally, typical antivirus doesn't lock down the system, right? It's not smart enough. It tries to stop a threat. It can't catch all the threats, so it doesn't really know. But your next gen antivirus, where it's looking at a lot more things than just virus signatures, it's looking at more than just heuristics. It's looking at behaviors, looking at things that are going on in the system, right? And it's looking at all of those systems because they're all interconnected and saying, hey, this one over here is doing something strange, and so is this one. Oh, we need to do something about all these systems, and that is a bad threat, right? So it locks it down, locks one or more down. So that's what newer next gen antivirus should be doing. It's not what the current antivirus is doing. So, I mean, you can get a Viper or WebRoot or whatever, right? They're great antiviruses for what they're supposed to do. Your MSP might, say, hey, yeah, we've got that. We're providing that to you. We're keeping it up to date, but they're not monitoring it. It takes a team of people 24/7, lots of people to monitor that stuff. And then they get in touch with organizations like mine to say, hey, we've seen some unusual behavior at 3 o'clock in the morning on this system and this system. We shut it down, locked it from the network so it can't affect any other things. We also locked out the firewall ports so they can't get out on the internet, right? And they can't do anything else on the internet because we're all protecting against ransomware is what we assume we're protecting against today. Also, the exfiltration of data, the stuff that they were sending out, we stopped that stream too, right? And so now we have to actually go to cleaning it up and fixing the situation. That's what next generation antivirus needs to do. So what good is antivirus, right? Well, today it serves a purpose. It's a minimalistic purpose, but it's not enough. We're telling, droves and droves and droves of people now that it's not enough. I just had a lunch and learn with an organization where I said antivirus is not enough. We have to have, even with that next gen antivirus that's being monitored by people, it's still not enough. We still have to have web filtering. We'll still have to have, great firewalls doing their jobs, locked down from foreign countries if possible, and locked down from advanced threats. We have to have, patching. We have to have application control, a whole stack of not very expensive cybersecurity solutions have to be in place to take care of and thwart the threats that are active today. So, again, I told you it'd be a short show today. I really didn't have a whole lot with this topic. Is antivirus useful? Should I even have it? Well, if that's the only thing you have, then yeah, don't get rid of it. What I would implore you to do is I would implore you to consider talk to your managed service provider, private message me, ask us about what else you should be doing. No, we're not some large, you might not be some large institution, enterprise level institution that can afford, hundreds of thousands of dollars of security each year, but certainly an expensive incremental growth in security should be considered. And here's why, because the threat actors aren't stopping, right? If I put up a fence, they're going to figure out how to get over that fence, right? And it's only a matter of time until they do figure it out. And so when I put up that fence, I need to be thinking about the next step and what else I should do. And that's where we're at. It's a cat and mouse game. And the good news is that most of the realistic, reasonable threat thwarters, if you will, um, are not are not incredibly expensive, and they can be bundled together. They can manage in a single pane of glass, and many of them, like I said, next gen antivirus. Some people call it MDR. Some people call it a bunch of different things. There's a lot of acronyms out there. They work together, and so when you get these systems working together, they communicate and they say, "Hey, you just went to a bad website and downloaded this file." And the system says, "Hey, wait a minute, we need to inspect that file. That file's starting to do some strange things. And oh, yeah, by the way, we just saw somebody ping 3 or 4 different servers in the network." I'm just making up an example, right? But they work in unison to protect you. Today's landscape, just regular antivirus. If you're a business, not going to get it, not going to be enough. Do you need it? Yes. Okay. If that's all you've got. But I implore you, I seriously implore you to consider more options with your MSP. Now, if you want some more information on this kind of thing, I got a QR code up here. So you can hover your phone over the QR code and click the link that it brings up and find out more about, the cybersecurity landscape, some of the things that can be done. And if you want, contact us. You're more than welcome. Today's not about advertising. I try not to make it about marketing advertising. I'm just trying to disseminate information. But in the effort of helping people in law firms, my goal is to make sure that you've got the information you need. Look, if you want to call me up, you want to private message me and say, "Hey, Jim, what about this? What about this?" I'll give you the information, take it back to your IT company. That's okay by me too. Just get the questions answered, have somebody talk to you, do an evaluation. Matter of fact, you can sign up for an evaluation at that site as well as download the report. Happy to help, happy to advise. So listen, again, today, no law firm left behind. What good is antivirus? Final story. It's okay. It's not going to protect your business, your law firm from the threat actors that are out there today. It's a multi-layered approach starting with next gen antivirus, if you ask me. So real quick, if you're not a member of No Law Firm Left Behind on LinkedIn, please go find the group. Matter of fact, I'll put a QR code up. I'll make a QR code for that too. But go find the group on LinkedIn. There's a page and there's a group. Follow the page and join the group on LinkedIn. No Law Firm Left Behind. All you do is go do a search. Remember that we are on all the major podcast platforms. I can't talk today. I've been doing a lot of presenting today, so pardon me. But we're on all the major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, on all the major platforms. Just do a search for No Law Firm Left Behind. If you're looking for all the past shows, just hop on our website, splice.net/No Law Firm Left Behind. Do a search for No Law Firm Left Behind, probably a little bit easier, and grab all of our past shows. Plus, we've got a great YouTube channel with probably close to 200 of our shows there as well. So today, Jim Gast, what good is antivirus? There you go. Hope that was helpful. Private message me if you have any questions. Otherwise, have a great day.